Straight ahead on 12 News, a grand opening with a big impact in Brooklyn Park. Plus, a warning from Golden Valley Police. They say people are trying to take advantage of others because of a devastating tree insect. But first, remembering a Robbinsdale wrestling legend. 12 News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. The Robbinsdale community and wrestlers around the world are mourning the loss of an icon.
Verne Gagne died Monday at the age of 89. Cassie Bonstrom has more on the man who was well loved both inside and outside the ring.
There's Verne right there. 1940 and 41 wrestling.
The monthly Robbinsdale Historical Society meeting was the perfect place for residents to reminisce about one of the city's greatest claims to fame.
He put Robbinsdale on the map. He did that.
On this side of the ring, weighing 225 pounds, Verne Gagne.
Verne Gagne, an accomplished wrestler who started his career at Robbinsdale High School in the early 1940s, died Monday after a battle with Alzheimer's disease.
Robbinsdale was a collection of characters. I mean, Robbinsdale was really something. It was a fun place to grow up.
Verne's putting those reverse backflips on him. This could be a little bit rough.
They were undefeated district champions, regional champions, state champions.
Historical Society curator Raleigh Haywood was 6 years younger than Gagne, but followed his career.
He was just an outgoing, friendly guy.
Gagne wrestled for the Gophers and then went pro, where he would go on to win 10 World Heavyweight Championships and be one of only 6 men to be inducted into all 4 Wrestling Halls of Fame.
There was a lot of show business to it, you know, so it was fun.
Gagne was a dynamite fighter, but Haywood and others also knew the modest, caring man that he was out of the ring.
He was the same with everyone. He wasn't above anyone. He just was a plain, ordinary guy, just a nice person.
Robbinsdale, the whole community, was a big, big part of his life.
Channel 12 recently interviewed Verne's son, Greg, for a special segment on Robbinsdale's history. He said Verne always had a special place in his heart for the people and the place where he grew up.
He used to tell all of us kids, never forget from where you came from. And he never did. He always came back and contributed to Robbinsdale High School.
Now, funeral arrangements are pending, but while working on the story, I learned many new things about Verne. One interesting fact, he walked to Robbinsdale High School every day from his home in Hamel. It was a several-mile-long trek, and he did it every day, Mike.
All right, thank you, Cassie. Well, drivers will need to pack a little extra patience, not to mention leave even earlier for work. A big lane switch for Highway 100 will happen overnight, and by Wednesday, traffic will be squeezed into 2 lanes in each direction between Cedar Lake Road and West 36th Street. MnDOT estimates it'll take southbound drivers as long as 40 minutes during the morning rush hour to make it from 36th Avenue in Robbinsdale to Excelsior Boulevard in St. Louis Park. The city of Golden Valley is warning residents about a door-to-door sales scam.
Police received complaints last week about supposed tree contractors trying to take advantage of the emerald ash borer problem. Here's Sonia Goins.
When we first bought the house, it was like maybe that big around in the trunk, and it's grown this much since then.
Howard and Ann Hobbs have lived in their Golden Valley home since 1989.
It's not really a healthy, it's always late to leaf out.
The tall ash tree in their backyard has provided a lot of shade over the years.
It's not a terribly old tree.
Last week, a salesperson came to the door, asking the couple if they needed any tree work done.
I said, well, yeah, we have this ash tree in the backyard.
The contractor then told them the tree had emerald ash borer.
He said you can see little borings sometimes.
Emerald ash borer is an invasive insect that destroys ash trees. The pests make D-shaped exit holes in the bark. The contractor told the couple the tree needed to come down.
And he gave the price of $900, and I said, $900?
Unfortunately, we don't remember his name or the company.
They say something didn't seem right, so they called the city.
I went out and looked at it that day after I talked with them at length, and I didn't see the distinctive exit holes of the emerald ash borer in the bark.
Tim says ash borer hasn't hit Golden Valley yet, but it's getting close.
It's within 5 miles of the eastern border, east of Theodore Wirth Park. They're trying to pressure them into removing the tree.
Police say they hear about these types of situations all the time.
We're always frustrated. I mean, it's the worst are certainly when people prey on vulnerable adults or the elderly.
Officials say use good business sense when it comes to sales.
Aside from Girl Scout cookies, I wouldn't buy anything at your doorstep.
It's the world we live in.
In Golden Valley, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
You need a permit for door-to-door solicitation in Golden Valley. Officials recommend checking for references before you buy anything.
After the New Hope City Hall shooting incident in January, discussions have started about security in other local city halls.
On average, an individual with any kind of intent from that door can make it to that dais in like 1.6 seconds if they want to.
Osseo is the latest city to study security options. Council members discussed the possibility of bulletproofing the dais where council members sit to installing a panic button that instantly dials 911. Osseo City staff couldn't recall any threats made at city meetings, but felt New Hope served as a stark reminder that anything can happen.
Minnesota's medical device industry is growing with an addition in Brooklyn Park. Olympus celebrated its grand opening of a surgical innovation center. It's a move that signals job growth. In Brooklyn Park, taiko drums herald the arrival of global technology corporation Olympus.
Welcome you, Mr. Sasa from Tokyo.
The grand opening of the 180,000 square foot Olympus Surgical Innovation Center means this facility will be a hub for minimally invasive medical device manufacturing and research and development.
Currently we have about 280 people, and we plan to have close to 400 people in the next 2 to 3 years.
The Olympus Corporation president hints the location in Brooklyn Park positions this company for growth and further expansion with its proximity to other healthcare and medical technology giants.
This center will become the model for how we work together with customers and other stakeholders to deliver innovative solutions to the global healthcare market.
The Olympus move and expansion to Brooklyn Park means the creation of more than 100 good-paying jobs, a big deal for the state and local economy.
Fortunate we are that given your other choices of location that you chose Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and we're deeply, deeply grateful to you for doing so.
Brooklyn Park isn't just here for today, we're here tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That we're going to work to make sure that you have people who want to work here.
Headquartered in Japan and with 36,000 employees worldwide, Olympus celebrated its grand opening in Brooklyn Park with a 300-year-old traditional Japanese ceremony called Kagami Baraki. The smashing of the sake barrel symbolizes the beginning of new endeavors and the strengthening of friendships among these new business partners. The $37 million Brooklyn Park facility marks an expansion and consolidation from buildings in Maple Grove, where Olympus had been operating its surgical technology business since 2001.
Change continues to be the theme for the local grocery store scene. Now all Lunds and Byerlys stores will have new branding and a new name. The two chains with the same owner will be referred to as Lunds and Byerlys. Building signage at all the stores will be changed by the end of May, and here in the Northwest Metro, there is a Byerlys in Golden Valley, another in Maple Grove. There's also a Lunds in Plymouth. Still ahead, getting over the hump, or should we say over the bulge, what Minnesota can do about its stagnant obesity rates.
And then a little bit later in sports, Champlin Park and Maple Grove go head-to-head in a key lacrosse matchup.
But first, some pretty amazing weather. Wednesday is close to perfect.
Obesity is one of the biggest health problems facing the nation today.
In Minnesota, obesity is ranked just under tobacco use among the top health concerns, and in today's Health Check, Elaine Cleveland looks at how Minnesota is doing compared to surrounding states and what's being done to improve the state's obesity rate.
Minnesota has a population of 5.5 million people, but despite having a thriving metropolitan area that is consistently ranked among the nation's healthiest, a little more than 25% of Minnesotans are considered obese.
25% of the people who are overweight is still too many. We need to get it down.
State Health Commissioner Dr. Ed Ellinger says that while the state still has work to do regarding obesity, Minnesota's rate has stayed constant since 2008, while surrounding states have seen the rate increase.
So when I looked at these data to say that we've actually bent the curve, it really says, great, we finally have something that is actually making a difference.
The commissioner says the difference maker here comes in the form of the Statewide Health Improvement Program, or SHIP, where the state tries to improve health by increasing opportunities for healthy choices.
It's not just about individuals making bad choices about physical activity and nutrition. It's actually about changing the environment in which people live so that the healthy choice becomes the easy choice.
That includes creating more access to healthy food in the form of farmers markets and building more trails and bike paths.
My goal also, though, is to have other people learn from what we're doing.
However, he admits that SHIP isn't as robust as it could be due to limited funding and opposition from some lawmakers who consider it to be government overreach.
We're hoping that we can at least maintain the program. On the Senate budget, they fund SHIP at its current level. In the House budget, they eliminate SHIP.
What happens next is in the hands of the legislature, but the commissioner believes that there needs to be public involvement to change the environment and reduce the obesity rate.
We're far from where we need to be.
For Health Check, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Coming up, 2 Oxbow Creek elementary students in for a special surprise.
But first in sports, John Jacobson has more on the life of Verne Gagne and his Robbinsdale roots. We'll be right back.
John joins us now with sports, and everybody remembers Verne Gagne as a professional wrestler on TV and everything, but he was a really good amateur wrestler before that, high school and college.
The amateur wrestler before he was my grandma's favorite wrestler back in the 60s. Yeah, he had a great amateur career. The old Robbinsdale High School was located on Regent Avenue and operated as a high school for 2 decades until the new building was built a few blocks south of there in 1956. It's in that old school where Verne Gagne made the long walks to school and first became a champion.
From Mound, Minnesota, Verne Gagne. Verne Gagne.
Verne Gagne was the face of professional wrestling in the upper Midwest for decades. Always the good guy, fighting off those wrestling villains who didn't play by the rules. The American Wrestling Association was a moneymaker for Verne and a source of great entertainment for generations of pro wrestling fans. His son Greg followed him into the sport and was one of many who learned the ropes under his father.
Some of the people he trained, Larry Henning, Jack Lanza, who was from here, Blackjack Mulligan, Baron von Raschke. Out of our group, he had Jim Brunzell, Ric Flair, the Iron Sheik, Ken Patera, myself, and we thought we were really in shape. And he'd go back, and before he'd start the practice, he says, now this is the way I got started, back at Robbinsdale High School, and this is what you have to do.
An all-state football player and 2-time state high school wrestling champion at Robbinsdale High School, Verne went on to become a collegiate football player and again champion wrestler at the University of Minnesota. A decade and a half after graduating from Robbinsdale, Verne would still come back to help out his old high school wrestling team. Julian Hook was, like Verne, an all-state football player at Robbinsdale and a 2-time state champion wrestler.
He had a good affinity with Robbinsdale, so he'd come back to the Robbinsdale High School and work out with the wrestling team. And I was the only guy in the team that worked out with him because he was a little bit big. So I got to know Verne very well in high school through that, and you know, he pretty much followed my career on, and obviously I followed his. And eventually I became his lawyer. So
when he was inducted in the Robbinsdale Hall of Fame, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, oh, your dad, he was the greatest guy. He used to come over to our house after school and have dinner with us, and sometimes he'd stay overnight rather than making that walk back. Robbinsdale was his roots. He never forgot the people in the community that helped him help make it through life. He always talked about it and, you know, never forgot where he came from.
Verne passed away Monday at the age of 89 with his family at his side. He is survived by 3 children. In October of 2013, he was inducted as one of the charter members of the Robbinsdale High School Athletic Hall of Fame. The Champlin Park boys lacrosse team beat out Maple Grove for the Northwest Suburban Conference title last spring. Both teams came into their Monday night game unbeaten, looking to gain a foothold on first place in the conference. Highlights from this one. At Maple Grove High School, first quarter action. Gage Munson will take the pass from Justin Linderholm and score. and that gets the Rebels on the board first.
I'm not sure that.
Brody Stern makes a run up the middle. He fires a low shot into the far corner to get the Rebels ahead 3-0 after one. Champlin Park dominates play for most of the first half. Tyler Smith's goal here makes it 5-1 in the second quarter. Now watch this goal. Mason Schmidt fights off the defender and then goes behind his head with the shot to score. And the Rebels are up 7-1 at halftime. But in the third quarter, the Crimson mount a comeback. Matt Savanich winds up and scores. Jake Wilson will pass to Jack Kelly at the side of the net. His goal holds the Crimson within 2 at 7-5. But that's as close as Maple Grove gets. Great passing play here. Smith to Nick Bundy to Linderholm for the goal. Champlin Park is now 4-0 on the season as they beat Maple Grove 10-5. The Armstrong boys tennis team has fared well this season in the Northwest Suburban Conference, losing only to Elk River. The Falcons met up with a former Classic Lake Conference rival, Hopkins. Nikita Snezko serves for Armstrong against Ben Matson in the #1 singles match. Snezko firing a couple of forehands to take the point on his way to a 6-1, 6-3 win. Hunter Fernelius serves in the #2 singles match to Simon Peterson of Hopkins. Fernelius putting a forehand into the corner, setting up an overhead. He wins 6-1, 6-0 for the Falcons. #1 doubles, Logan Remington serving. Sam Dietrich puts it away for Hopkins as they take the first set in a tiebreaker. Armstrong's Rudy Lipovitz and Matthew Holton come back, though. A good point here. Lipovitz hits the well-placed volley to the outside as the Falcons win in 3 sets. Armstrong taking the match 5-2. As mentioned at the top, very good season for Armstrong so far in tennis.
All right. Thanks a lot, John. Up next, a surprise in Brooklyn Park you won't want to miss.
We'll be right back.
And finally, an emotional surprise for 2 young boys at Oxbow Creek Elementary School.
The boy's father is Sean Edgett, a soldier with the Minnesota National Guard. Sean just returned from an 11-month deployment to Kuwait and showed up at his boys' school on Monday. Alex and Caden had not seen their father since last June, and Sean returned on Saturday, and keeping the secret wasn't easy.
Overwhelmed. I'm actually glad I didn't do it right on the day I came in. I think it would have been worse. For me personally, I would have been a lot more shaken up, but I'm glad I had actually a couple of days, but it still was just tons of energy, just waiting to get in there and see them.
Officials at Oxbow Creek Elementary were in on the surprise. In fact, they combined the 3rd and 4th grade classes to watch a play so both sons could be in the room when their father walked in. What a great surprise.
That's
Look
kind
at
of
that.
surprise.
I think there are tears on Dad's cheek.
That's right.
See you tomorrow.